of matches already announced. They also announced, and some people thought it was a joke when they announced it, a new belt that's going to show up in AEW, and it is the National Championship. So November 5th, Tony Khan in a backstage segment. So he announced the revival of the AEW or of the National Championship. And I'll get into this a little bit later. I'll do a little bit of background first, but basically it's supposed to follow the NWA lineage, or he thinks it should. And the inaugural champion will be crowned at Full Gear in a Casino Gauntlet match. There have been a number of people who threw their hat in the ring and on a Collision, Speedball, and his partner both said they want to take part in the National Championship Casino Gauntlet match. Tony Khan said that this will be a traveling title, so kind of like the old NWA television title. And he said it'll be defended all over the country and the world and across multiple promotions. Specifically, he named, I think, New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong and Ring of Honor, probably CMLL. And it is supposed to be inspired by the NWA National Heavyweight Championship from Georgia Championship Wrestling. And the controversy is that there is an NWA that currently exists. It's owned by Billy Corgan, who's actually upset because the NWA has their own championship. They have a national championship, and it is currently held by a former Spirit Squad member. Is his name Mikey Mondo? I forgot what his name is specifically in NWA, but
Mikey,
there's a national championship.
Mike
Mondo, thank you. I think I was just using the Spirit Squad name.
Mikey.
Yeah, Mikey. So there's a new belt showing up in AEW, and again, this isn't like a new thing that people have complained about before, and I think WWE is also having a bit of that problem, like with the Speed title that still exists, even though I think their X partnership has ended. They're still using the Speed Championship on NXT, so there isn't a shortage of conversation about too many belts. But in terms of this news story, it's a new championship. I mean, David, what do you think? When you heard that they announced this on Dynamite, what did you think? Your initial thoughts?
My first thought was kind of like, I don't want to say why, but it's like you just unified two titles. Yeah, but cool with me. Cool with me, long run. Short term, that was my initial thought. It was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, they just unified the international and the continental championship at All In Texas, and that belt still exists. And apparently, I mean, the belt is still it's a unified championship, but the lineage of both are still there.
Yeah, it's like when the fuse wears off, it's over with, like Go Tanks.
Right. So and then wasn't the international championship supposed to be what the current national championship is supposed to be doing?
I think also, in essence, because it was also the All Atlantic, right, Chris? Something like that.
Yeah.
Atlantic.
Yep. Transatlantic or something. It was something like that.
Atlantic.
All Atlantic.
Yeah, so it's just an interesting thing. I mean, I'm sure folks who are listening have read this on X and Reddit and all that kind of stuff. I mean, the logic for me doesn't make too much sense because of that. And maybe in Tony Khan's mind, he tried to find a way to have a belt like that could be defended in multiple promotions and maybe actually be moved around. And he didn't want like Okada to drop the belt to like some kind of promotion. And this is his way of like working backwards from that conclusion and then just adding another title. I guess, but
Who knows?
who knows? Who knows? I mean,
think
like I'm just trying to fit a peg in a square hole.
I'm guessing like he's gonna treat the Okada belt and the Hangman belt as a like the world heavyweight and the WWE championship is as far as like prestige, and then this international, is it? What's it called?
The new one's the National, which also like,
National.
as a name doesn't make sense, because if it's supposed to be defended around the globe and you called it the National Championship, it's international. Like you're not only defending it in the United States or North America.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't even make sense. So
And now they have the national and international
right, and you have an international belt
and the
still.
continental.
And a continental, right? I mean, Chris, what you finish your thought? Sorry.
I was gonna say it's gonna be probably like likened to like a secondary belt, like an IC belt or a United States belt. But I'm guessing I bet you they'll just scrap the idea of the undisputed, continental and international belt. Like it'll just be whatever they're calling that second belt now, the Okada belt.
Isn't it just like unified champion?
Yeah, the unified.
Yeah, maybe they'll give it like a new name. Like that's a possibility.
The ununified.
The ununified. I mean, that's the conundrum I feel like you have, because you have the world title belt, you have the unified title, which is now it's like an upper card like Okada belt. You have the TNT title, which is like the workhorse belt. So I guess I don't know where the national title would really fit in this. And it's not the only belts that are like show up on AEW television. You also have all the Ring of Honor belts that show up.
I would have just brought up one of those.
So
But let those guys get TV time.
Right. So I mean, another belt. Do you? I mean, Andres, let me ask you this: do you think there's such a thing as too many belts, and do you have a limit of like what? Answer the first question. Do you think there's too many belts, and then in your ideal promotion, like how many belts would you have if you were booking?
Well, off the bat, I did think already like AEW kind of had a belt problem. Like, I think they were kind of already like populating them. But then with this one, and then hearing the concept they're trying to go with, I'm like, oh, I guess that's kind of cool. But then, like to your point earlier, I'm like, wait, don't they have these other belts already as well that have like these names? So
They do.
I don't know. I'm just more curious to see like how it's going to develop over time with how they're going to go about it, and like maybe they'll dissolve one of the other ones going forward. But to have too many belts, I mean, or as how many belts would I have?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Growing up in wrestling, like in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was always simpler because you had like the main belts, and then you had like the secondary like intercontinental title, or maybe in WCW terms it was a TV title. Or did they have one intercontinental? I can't remember.
Yeah, US.
The US. Okay. To me, like I think it was like 5 belts was like the main number. You had like your main, your secondary, then you're like your cruiserweights, you had the women's, and then you had the tag. But I know now we're like way beyond those days, and now we have bigger rosters and stuff and more shows and stuff. So that to me would probably be like the simpler route. But nowadays, that's not really ideal.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, WWE also has had, like, I think it's currently teetering on a lot of belts. Now, the logic is that they have an actual, like, split roster to some degree, even though there's a lot of still, like, wrestlers jumping back and forth for like storylines, or like we're going to talk about the John Cena tournament, some cross-brand tournament matches that are appearing on both Raw and SmackDown. But like they're technically 2 separate rosters. But again, like for me personally, like the tag belts, I feel like should be unified again in WWE. And like I think my classic like belt amount is like main belt for men and women, mid-card belt, men and women, tags, and I think that's where I would end it there. And not every match needs a belt to have a feud. Like I feel like if you have a good enough story, I mean, there are plenty of stories that have existed that don't need a belt, to be invested in, right? So I think that'd be my ideal. Like WWE had a light heavyweight championship belt, they had a European championship belt, hardcore championship, 24/7 title, which I guess was just inspired by the hardcore championship, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So I mean, WWE has had their own issues with it, and then it's always like an ebb and flow. They take it away, and then they add some more, and it's kind of like a cyclical thing. With AEW, I mean, they unified some, and then they added, 3 more. So
20 belts,
yeah.
money.
Yeah, I mean,
and they're working towards the women's tag.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. It's like. So let me ask you guys this before we move on to the John Cena tournament, because at Full Gear, in addition to like this national championship, before they announced the national belt, there was actually new belts they already announced that were going to be crowned at Full Gear it's the women's tag team championships, right? So what do you guys think? Do you feel like having 2 new belts at Full Gear, does that diminish the women's belts?
No. No, the girls are doing a good job with their time.
Okay.
And they have plenty of women, I think,
I feel
on
like
their roster to just like allow them to have like some tag teams, There's a lot of talent there amongst like, I mean, they could go across all the promotions they got, you know what I mean? There's so much talent there that they can use. And
none of them are like I don't ever get a sense of like shyness out of AEW girl, like the women's promos.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be like maybe just like the overproduction or just like the difference in experience between like that and say like a NXT or TNA.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
they've been doing their thing.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think it was Sky Blue. I mean, she had a great match on Collision. Athena cut a great promo too when I was watching it this morning. I think like for me, I just wish like Ring of Honor. I don't know. Like I know Tony Khan owns Ring of Honor, but I think in my ideal world, I like sell it off or something, and then just have the roster that you have, and just like make Collision, Dynamite fully separate. Like use the belts; they could be interchangeable. But I just feel like adding that layer of Ring of Honor with like all of their belts that also show up on AEW, that just like is for me a bit too much. So in an ideal world, I just wish he'd never have Ring of Honor or scrap it or something. And then I wouldn't complain about the belts. So
yeah, I would say like having like exclusive rosters on Collision and Dynamite, and then maybe separating the belts on each show, kind of how SmackDown and Raw used to be in the early 2000s. Like just
I mean, they still are theoretically. They still have separate belts. The people that Cody Rhodes is feuding with on SmackDown is, for the most part, it's been just people who are on SmackDown. Like apparently Aleister Black is getting a title shot, maybe, or he just, they just wanted to see what would happen if he walked out and announced his hat, throwing his hat in the ring. But yeah, I think in an ideal world, if they had completely separate rosters like that, and then maybe remove Ring of Honor, like just sell it or something. I don't know. And just focus on Dynamite and Collision. I think they even had that Shockwave like discussion, but I guess that kind of fell through the cracks. So just try and perfect, Dynamite and Collision, and then go from there. We'll see what they do with the national championship when Full Gear happens, and maybe it'll make it more interesting, or maybe it'll go the way of the international and continental, and then it'll be unified into a triple crown championship. Who knows? We'll see. But we can move on to the next segment.